Since 2022, FSLTL has been the gold standard for free live traffic, but on April the 30th, 2026, the sim world faces a major shift. FlightRadar24 is pulling the plug on the free API data that powers the live part of FSLTL. This isn't just a small update, it's a total change in how we populate our virtual skies. Today we're looking at the survivors, the newcomers, and the best way to keep your airports from feeling like ghost towns in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. But first let's start with some good news, because you don't need to uninstall FSLTL just yet. Well, not all the components. While the real-time transponder mirroring is ending, which is done by the injector, it moves to a static probability mapping. Your airports will still be busy based on historical averages, but the planes won't match exactly what you see on your phone. And this is crucial, and that's where you can use the FSLTL based models, those high quality aircrafts. Remain the best way to handle VATSIM model matching. Keep the models, but we need to look elsewhere for the injection logic. So let's look at the alternatives which are there, and one of them is from the Alpha India group. If you want density and variety without a subscription, it's time to revisit their website. While FSLTL was the king of convenience, AIG is the king of content. It uses massive community-driven flight plans rather than a live data feed. Is there a catch? Yes, there is. The setup is, between brackets, kind of difficult. It takes you several minutes or maybe even hours to download the deliveries and the schedules, but in a post-FSLTL world, that time invested pays off. You get a global database of airliners, including small regional carriers, that, between brackets, live feeds often miss. It's free, it's comprehensive, and it doesn't care about API costs. So let's have a look at how we can install it. So let's have a look at how we can start it. If you go to the software section on Alpha India Group's website, you can download both the AIG Manager and the Traffic Controller. You need to have both of them. Once you've done that, you will get two zip files. I of course already downloaded them, so I will move to the folder where I put them, and I already extracted them. So the first part which we need to do is set up the AIG Manager. You can do that by double clicking it. It will show you a warning and then it will check for updates. This will be done twice, don't ask me why, but they need 2 cycles to get fully up to date. Here again, cycle number 2. You can press the key to speed up the process, and once that has been done, it will, let's say, kind of allow you to select the Flight Simulator version. So in this case, Flight Simulator 2024, but you can also select Flight Simulator 2020. Once you hit OK, you get the window, if we're lucky, yes, here it is, and we'll come up with this nice section. Because currently no packages are detected, but the first thing we need to do is set up the OCI, which stands for the one-click installer. What's the beauty about this is that if you install a flight plan, it will make sure that it will also install the required models and repaints and other stuff needed, right? The ATC in airports with just one click. This has already improved the setup process a lot, but there still are, of course, some, I'd say, things which you need to keep in mind. So what it will do is it will, I'd say, install it, but the OCI is not published with any kind of flight plan, models, or repaints. So it simply is an empty, I would say, skeleton, and then you still need to, I'd say, put in the data. So let's hit next. You can see that automatically detected the Flight Simulator folder, as well as it warns me that I need to install the AIG Traffic Controller, which we will cover after this one. So we're going to move on. Then we're going to press next. And then you can see it has done multiple things. First of all, there's a package detected. There's 0 sim objects, there's 0 flight plans, and all the flight plan times are enabled, which is also set to 0. Besides that, you can see that multiple other configurations options are now appearing. For example, you can set the default MSFS service enabled for OCI. This disables the service to reduce the amount of injected objects in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Then we've got the reduce wingspan option is disabled, right? Enables reduce wingspan. To adjust the wingspan of OCI installed sim objects for smaller parking spots. We've got the generic panes priority, right? OCI will use, where possible, generic panes, even if there are dedicated panes available. This might use more disk space. And then we've got the freeware only enabled, because there's also payware, so keep that in mind. As last one, the manual download is disabled. Currently all manual downloads will be skipped. So also something which is important. On the bottom, you get the option to remove it, if you want to remove it. Let me show you what now has happened, because if we are going to the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 folder, what you will see is that inside the community folder, now there is that AIG air traffic OCI. But you can see, okay, hey, don't move or modify anything in here, right? You need to do it via that tool. You can see the airport, the effects, the configuration, the scenery, the scripts, the sim objects, and the textures. Currently, most of those folders are, as you can see, empty, right? Even if I click airplanes, it's empty. So that's something we need to fix. I would say this is what they recommend you to do. So I would strongly encourage you to follow that. But of course, it's up to you. You can enable those options by simply clicking the options, and then it says, okay, hey, it will update it. Well, fine for me. Then it says, okay, hey, yes, because we didn't install anything. Generic panes priority. This uses more disk space. And we enable freeware only because that makes sense. Manual download disabled. Currently, all manual downloads will be skipped. To enable this feature to get all the available files for OCI. Well, we will leave this one for now. So, as you can see, now we did this, there are a few things which have changed. First of all, there's the install flight plans, but also there's the quick install. The quick install contains a pre-selection of airliners which are installed via OCI. For example, North America, Europe, Africa, and Global. Those are the ones which will be installed. Or you can press the install flight plans. If you press the install flight plans, it will install a lot of things. So be, I would say, careful between brackets with that. There are options where you can also select the online ones. These are the installed ones. These are the ones available. So you can simply press the install one and then install them individually. Currently, more than, let's say, almost 3,000 packages are available. But you can see you can also install them from a zip file, based on, of course, where you get the content from. But let's do it the easy way, because I don't like to select all of them. But you can see the list is enormous. It goes from airlines to corporate aircraft to charter aircrafts, everything you have, but also you can see the season where they were used. The same thing is for the aircrafts, right? You can see installed FLT sim, and then I would say configure something. Airports, the same thing, as well as this one. And this one, the GAIST, which refers to a boat, if I'm correct. That one I didn't install. I don't think it's really required. Besides that, you've got the flight plan settings, minimum activity, maximum activity. This is, I would say, to make sure that it doesn't overload or kill the system. And there's, of course, the other things which you can do. You can remove the add-on, as you can see. You can also set the options here, right? The options, which we did set via this menu, are actually set in the AIG AIM OCI one, as you can see here. So let's start doing something, right? I want to do the quick install because I want to do it the easy way, and I'm going to simply select Europe. If I select Europe, I can see that these ones are being installed. And this is all the airliners in Europe. So I press install, and then a new window will launch. And this new window will simply pull everything in, right? It's checking for the model. It will make sure that all the flight plans are being pulled in. And based on that, you are good to go. Of course, this will take some time, so I'll pause the recording and we'll continue once the flight plans have been installed. So the installation has completed. Let's see what the results are. Right, if we go to the flight plans, what we will see is we will see all the airliners which we installed, which were part of that, I say, kind of pre-package, right? It will simply, let's say, scope to Europe. But now let's figure out how we can add additional ones. For example, maybe you want to add specific ones like, for example, Delta Airlines, right? Let's search through the list. It would be nice if there would be a search option here, right? It could be, maybe this works. Oh, yeah, this also works. I would say I would have expected it more on the top, But here we can see Delta Airlines. I can simply select it and then say install. Based on that, we'll install this package. It might take some time. And again, you can see I can select between manual install or OCI install. OCI install again is the most easiest one because it simply installs everything, including the models which you need or which you can select. You can also select the configure option if you would like to more customize it, but most of it is, I would say, perfectly fine. And then I would say once this is completed, it will automatically close this window, right? So don't worry, it will automatically close it for you. So super nice, super easy to do. While this one is installing, let's go to the Microsoft Flight Simulator folder to see what has happened here. So if we go to the sim objects folder and if we go to the airplanes, we can see all these liveries which are being installed, right? For example, here you can see Lufthansa, multiple ones. You can see also some sound packages which are there. If we move back to the texture, we can see the folder is still empty, traffic files. These contain some items, right? And these are the flight plans which we refer to. And this is the database file, including the PLN folder, which is currently still empty. Besides that, there's some scenery, but won't likely contain much, right? Only the databases, because we didn't import any airports. But if you would, then it would appear here. And then we've got the airports here. Sorry, the other one was scenery and also empty. So most of the things are put into the sim objects, where the airplanes are, and really the texture and maybe the traffic files. But as you can see, there also are now some other files like the AI traffic effects. And this has been configured with some effects. As you can see, a lot of effects for the different airliners. And that's the nice thing about using that one-click install, because it will also make sure that these are being installed. That's super cool. If we move to the model behavior, that will likely also contain some things, right? AIG. And here are the model behaviors, which are also there. So that's also nice. So you can see it installs a lot. So be sure to check your disk space before pressing install. If you would use the option over here, install flight plans, it installs everything. And according to, let's say, some investigation, that's likely 100 gigabyte in total. So keep that in mind. I would say watch out with this. While waiting till this package to be installed, right, will not take very long, I do think. You can see that it goes to all the things. It goes to the repaints, it goes to the other things. And you can see that they're developed by multiple people, and that's really the community which builds this tool. So the community builds these tools, including the flight plans, etc. So now it's installed. So if I would go to the installed version and if I would search for Delta, it should appear here. Right here you can see it appears here. And then I click the E from India. I can see how many variations are installed, how many aircrafts are installed, the lags, the airports, and the utilization. And if you say click on the I, you also get this, because this shows you the different air types or different aircraft types and how many times they're used. If you want to load a Gantt chart, that also takes some time, but let's see what this appears, right? And here you can see the, I'll say, kind of Gantt chart, right? You can see the flight plan, also super nice. And then of course the credits, and those are the credits for the people who created this nice stuff. In addition to that, you will see, I'd say, a lot of, other factors which we're not gonna look at currently. So let's have a look at that other tool, right? Because there was that mention about that other tool, which is the AIG traffic controller. This is that other tool which you need to install because else it won't work. And you could already see that it's using SimConnect. And the same thing as with the AI manager, it first will check for some updates. Then it says, okay, hey, AIG can update itself only when it's not auto started. Well, we didn't use the auto start functionality, so let's go ahead and let's update it. I do think that this one only requires you to update once, yes. And after that, you can select the version of Flight Simulator which you need to use. In this case, there are some important warnings, so make sure that you read through them carefully. It's AI will not vacate the runway since in update number 3. Faulty airports, AI will not take off. And faulty ATC, the runway assignment for landing and takeoff. This is caused by some issues of Flight Simulator, not from this tool based on my understanding. So once it's enabled, or once it's opened, you can see that it currently is up and running, right? You can click show more information, that will tell you, okay, hey, this is the SIM Connect status. You can see the traffic manager, you can see the airports, and then you can see the traffic injector configuration. So enabled activity 100%, right? This is the number of, let's say, injected traffics and or injected aircrafts, and will have an impact on performance as mentioned here. So be very cautious with this one. Maybe 100% is a little bit too much, so maybe you need to reduce it. Besides that, the airport ground ops manager is currently disabled. You will not see any AI GTC controlled airport vehicles. If you want to enable it, click the enable option to make sure that it's also shown. And also here, be very careful with this because it's by default set to 100. Now if you go to the other options, you won't likely see much, right? The map, I don't think it even works, but the departures are there. You also have the settings over here. And you can see that the auto injection tool runs on startup, which is important. So it will automatically fire, I would say, this tool once you start Flight Simulator. You can also see the enable the extra ground traffic. You can see the air traffic or traffic manager, sorry. And you can add the non-OCI directories. Because by default, it will pick up all the content in the OCI directory, which is the one which we already configured using that first tab. So here ends this demo about how to use this tool. Because there are specific Flight Simulator 2024 settings which you need to disable. I will cover that a little bit later in this video because I'm first going to look at a different tool. Which one? Well, let's jump to the next chapter. What you currently see is with an injector with one of the nice models. In this case, the one from AIG. You can see that currently 141 airplanes are around me. You can click on show more information. Then you can see how much airplanes as well as how much ground vehicles are around me. As well as, let's say, the traffic manager version and the BGL airlines, right? All of them are now coming from the AIGFP airlines, which are the airlines which we installed via that other add-on, right? The other add-on, I refer to the other add-on from AIG. Currently, you can see that it's set to 100 and 100 and that no traffic limiter is, let's say, configured. However, you can do that because if you don't do that, it might harm your system too much. Besides that, you can of course also reduce it by moving these buttons. Right? So be aware of that. If you're seeing performance issues, then drop them down to a lower, let's say, percentage. Now we are here. Let's also see if we can use the map functionality. Well, now we can use the map functionality, as you can see, but it doesn't show a lot currently. But it's likely because we were in the wrong part of the world, because we are here, right? Here we are. Let's zoom in again and then see if we can move around. You can move around by right-clicking, and then you can see all the traffic which is around Schiphol Airport, including the knots. Keep in mind, this is not real time, or actually it might be. Well, no, it's not. Joke. It's not real time because it's all due to the timetables. And the timetables, if you select the airport, in this case, Echo Hotel Alpha Mike. Let me see if I can find it easily. Here it is. We can see the timetables, and that's being caused by all the things which we imported. So here you can see Lufthansa, you can see EasyJet, Croatia Airlines, and then we can also see, okay, hey, what's the status of the aircraft, right? Pretty nice that they have added this. Let's have a closer look at the models, because that's of course what we want to see next. How high quality are these models? So let me click here, and then let's see if I can move around. Well, likely I need to, say, speed up a bit. Because what I can see is currently the one below me is the default livery. But as you can see, there are multiple KLM aircrafts next to me. There's also that EasyJet aircraft. To be honest, the EasyJet is kind of a weird position because I do think that the EasyJet are normally on another pier. And behind me also a lot of KLM aircrafts. So the question is if this is realistic, because if I zoom over or if I fly over this airport, the only aircrafts I see is EasyJet, KLM, and if we fly a little bit further we can see also some other airliners. Might be expected, but I would have expected some other airlines such as Delta, etc. But this could be the effect if you don't install all the add-ons, right? Remember that we didn't install all deliveries from all the worldwide airliners? Then this might be a side effect. So be aware of that. If you have that issue, then you might consider to install all of them. In this case, it looks like that I would say all the European aircrafts are being shown correctly. If I zoom over here, I can see also some other ones. I can see the ground services. Here you see the stutter, right? So that's why I say watch out with this, because it could have an impact. Here we see another airliner. Not sure which one it is. Well, if you know it, then let me know. You can see a lot of airliners here, but also a lot of KLM. So again, recommendation is consider to install all the, in this case, liveries via the global option, but make sure that you've got enough airspace, or enough disk space, of course. Here we can see LOT, which is a Polish one, the Polish airliner, Air France also. And if we look close by, right, you can see all the models are super nice. They're pretty high quality. You can see here, this is an Embraer 190 from Air France. You can see German Airways also here, operated for KLM Cityhopper, and you can see also multiple other ones. But again, this looks super cool, right? But it's not real time. The second tool is for purists who must have one-on-one realism. And there's only one choice in this case: PSXT paired with real traffic. Unlike other tools, PSXT doesn't use the Sim's AI engine at all. It injects planes as independent objects. Because it relies on its own paid data feed, it's immune to the FSLTL shutdown. However, that data isn't free. You're looking at a subscription of roughly $10 to $12 a month. If you want to see the exact flight you just booked for your next vacation landing in front of you, this is the only way to do it. So, how does it work? Well, first of all, you of course need to have the PSXT tool. It comes with a quick guide, but also with a more extensive guide. And the nice thing is that this tool allows you to use external models. So those models from, for example, FSLTL or AIG, they can be used in combination of, they can be used in combination with this tool, because you can see here, PSXT automatically detects and uses your installed models and liveries. How cool is that? Because then you can still use FSLTL, or you can switch to AIG and then use those models and liveries, and then in combination with this tool. The tool, you can simply get it by downloading the tool, right? Let me also do that. So done it already, I see. So I'm gonna move it to a different folder. I'm gonna move it to the temp folder, which I created, and then I can put it over here. The next thing which you need to do is extract the tool. The extract the tool, you can simply say rename it like this, and then you've got the tool, and then you need to install it. The installation process is really straightforward, so I won't show it. It simply is next, finish, and then it will be installed. But there's one thing which you need to keep in mind, because there is that real traffic license which you need, because I think it's kind of a hard requirement. So let's have a look at the quick start guide, which I will also post as a link in this video. And here it says, okay, what you need to do. Here's the, also a link where you can contact them. But this is the process which you need to follow, right? So you need to either install the, models and liveries via the AIG AI Manager, or you can use the FSLTL base models, or you can use the IVAO MTL models, liveries, which you can find over here. So there are 3 options for you, which are free, and the 4th one is a paid one because it's just flight FS traffic, which also works. Once you've done that, you can install the tool, and there's no need to put it in the community or program files, right? It simply can be somewhere. So keep that in mind. The default installation is the PSXT folder, and they should say that you shouldn't move it, which I think is a little bit, strange, but hey, that's what it is. After that, you can go to the real traffic website, which is a link which I'm going to show you now. This requires you to create an account and then you need to get a license. So the license differs per, let's say, kind of length, right? You can either go for 12 months, then you buy it for $107, 6 months for $57, and the less months will mean less money, but keep in mind that there's also a discount included if you buy it for more months, right? 24-day freeze. So a 24-day price freeze license also available, which you can simply freeze the license, right? If you're, for example, going on vacation, then you likely want to pause it. This is the standard edition, but there's also the professional edition. What's the difference? Well, this is access to real-time traffic and single instance of real-time traffic. This is access to real-time traffic and 2 weeks of historical data. But that's likely not what you need in Flight Simulator. Besides that, there's the global satellite imagery and it can run 2 concurrent sessions. So besides Flight Simulator, you can use it in a different tool. But again, I don't think it's required for you to use in Flight Simulator. So once you've created the license, you can once you create the account, you can buy it. Keep in mind that the license will be emailed to the email address with your PayPal, because currently you can only pay with PayPal if I'm correct. Let me try it out. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna select buy now, and then based on this, I need to log into PayPal to pay. So keep that in mind that you can only pay using PayPal. So if you didn't create a PayPal account yet, then do it, because else it won't work. Once you've done that, right, you need to make sure that you install the real traffic application, which can be, of course, downloaded from the same site. You go to the downloads folder. There you will find this nice tool and you can install it. Let me do it. Real-time traffic. I also installed this one, of course, but I'm going to show you. And this is also straight, I would say straight on, right? But here it says you need to download and install it prior to you having the license. So let's install it. Let's hit next. You can create shortcuts if you want. Here I'm going to show you the installation process. It looks like it's based on Java, but hey, that's what it is. After that, you can go back to the quick start and you can need to make sure that the correct Visual C++ is installed, which is in most cases the case, but keep that in mind. And then you can continue. The Flight Simulator part, as already mentioned, is applicable to both solutions, both the one from the Alpha India group as well as PSXT, so I won't show it. I will cover it in a later chapter. So once we've done this, are there any other solutions? Well, let's jump to the next chapter to see which remaining solutions are there for you. If you want to have real-time traffic, you need to have real traffic as a tool with a license in combination with PSXT. As you can see, currently I would say the tool is loaded. I can see live 15 aircrafts. And this is what I meant, right? When I referred to, hey, you can use those models from AIG, FSLTL, or some of the other vendors. You can simply select them here, and here you can set a preference. In this case, AIG is on the first row, then FSLTL, then GF, then MTL. This is really the search order of the, for flight models. On the bottom, we can see that we're currently at Schiphol Airport. We can see that the next update is in 20 minutes. Stands 271, Park 2, and on some other information, right? So super cool. Also, besides that, there's a lot of options, which I will likely cover in a future video. But for now, let's have a look at how this looks like. And by the way, it's created by, I would say, a Dutch person, Nico Kaan. So Nico, thanks for this tool. It looks really amazing. So here we go. We're now above Schiphol Airport, and as you can see, already some things have changed. For example, one of the things which is different is that there are now aircrafts parked here. I'm not sure if they are with the correct livery, to be honest, because these are the, I would say, almost the home liveries for Boeing. And I was expecting here more like EasyJet or something. If we turn around, we can also see a lot of house liveries and even some conflicts here with, in this case, TUI. and some hazards for the A310. But if we move further, we can see also some liveries from European airliners, such as KLM, but also other ones, which you will see very soon. I do expect that this again has to do with me not having all the liveries installed. Here we can see, for example, the McDonnell Douglas, I would say, straight into a KLM. So I likely also need to have a look at my settings, because it might be that I missed something. Alright, I was testing this for the first time, and I will say you can see these liveries, like for the, what is this? For the E915, the Embraer, super nice, different livery. If we move further on, we can also see some other airliners, such as the EasyJets. We can also see some conflicts, but likely we can resolve them, right? I need to check my settings because I missed something 100%. Also, we see Baltic here, we can see British Airways here, Air Serbia. So this is also super nice. And the best thing is that this is in real time, right? It depends on the data which it receives from real traffic. You can see currently, I will say, one of the aircraft is being pushed back. So super nice. So what did we learn from this? What did we learn from this demo? Is it bad that FSLTL is only supporting flight models and not real-time traffic? Yes, of course it is, because now you only have two real options from my perspective, from a real air traffic perspective. The only one, to be honest, is this nice tool, right? This nice tool, and I'm talking about PSXT, because this pulls data using the real traffic add-on. But this one does cost you money. But if you don't mind that it will cost you money, and if you want to add more realism, then this could still be a valid option. If you don't want to spend too much money, then there is, I'd say, the one from AIG, because it only requires this space, nothing more, and then you can use deliveries. The advantage of PSXT is that you can, of course, use deliveries or the models from both AIG but also from FSLTL, which are also always high quality liveries. Then the other options are to use the AI tools such as BeyondATC or SayIntentions.AI. And there's that third one. That third one which we didn't have a look at yet. But I also decided not to test it because it will require me to invest something. And then we've got the third one, right? The third one was from BravoAirspace. We didn't test that one yet. I might want to test it in the near future, but I decided not to do it because this video is already a little bit lengthy, as you saw. There's the third solution. It's from a different vendor. You can see BravoAirspace. So besides the Alphania Group and PSXT in combination with real traffic, there's BravoAirspace, which now has this tool available, the ATG Airline Traffic Global, available now at the Flight Simulator Marketplace. Because that's the nice thing, is that you can use this and you can buy this via the marketplace. Well, nice. I keep it in between brackets because some people are disagreeing with that. However, what the nice thing is that this one is also compatible with the Xbox. There are some limitations currently, right? There are some things which you need to keep in mind. Let's say, just like with the other tools. And that's why also currently the consoles are limited to normal settings, whereas the PC version can be set to ultra if you want to look at the quantity and the variety of parked aircrafts and the aircraft traffic variety. So I would say plus point from this one, it's available in the marketplace and it can be used on both the PC and console version, whereas the other two solutions, you can only use them between brackets on the PC, right? Only. Because I do still think that most people are using this on the PC version of Flight Simulator 2024. So this is the first solution. Are there any other solutions? Well, let's have a look at it. The next tool is BeyondATC, and BeyondATC is a nice tool which, let's say, kind of replaces the ATC from Flight Simulator 2024 by adding more realistic sounds, but it also has the ability to replace in this case, aircrafts. It's not using the real-time data, it's using historical data, a week old, but it still is realistic. The benefit, the ATC and the traffic are finally talking to each other. No more AI planes cutting you off on short final. It's a one-time purchase that gives you a living Braffing Airport environment without a monthly bill. Is it 100% right? Well, not entirely, because if you look at the pricing, you can see that there's the base package. But you need to keep in mind that it only contains, between brackets only, 50,000 premium characters. But there comes also a price with the premium characters, because there's a premium voices pricing model, which you also need to take into account. So if you go above that, then you need to buy an additional one, which gives you 250,000 premium characters in addition to the previous ones. And here it says around 50 to 30 flights with controller on premium. So that's something which you need to keep in mind. It's not really a one-time purchase only. No, it might require you to also buy additional packages if you prefer, I would say, to have more flights. And then there's that last player, which is SayIntentions.AI. Kind of the same as BeyondATC, although according to their features, and if we scroll down, we can see that they are now adding traffic, which allows you to experience commercial and GA traffic injection from real-world schedules with every aircraft operated by its own AI. Plus traffic alerts and intelligent sequencing. Never fly alone as airports and airspaces come to life. If we click on the beta, we can see, okay, hey, what you can do. Say it brings you to this page, and here you can also start a free trial, right? So you can start this, and after that you need to start paying. What do you need to pay? Well, if you go to the pricing, you can see the pricing. And here you see the full experience, which will roughly cost you $16 per month, or in this case, 40 euros per month. And if you buy it on a yearly basis, it will of course be more interesting because the price will become a little bit lower. So if you're looking for an alternative for FSLTL, then you might also want to have a look at this one. As mentioned already, you might need to make some changes in Flight Simulator 2024, as well as in 2020 by the way, to avoid collisions. You will find the settings if you go to the gear and then select the graphics, which is the default, and then go to the global rendering quality. In this case, it's sim update number 5 beta. Likely with previous versions, you will see them below. In this nice menu, you need to scroll down where you will find these items: the airport service quantity, the parked aircraft quantity, and the aircraft traffic quantity. According to, I would say, all the news, you need to set these ones to off, because else they might conflict with the, I would say, ingestion utilities. So make sure that you're setting these ones to off. Quality, you can play around with it. Ultra can be the case, but you can also set them to a lower, depending on, of course, the, I would say, level of quality or hardware specs which you have, because it has an impact, of course, on the hardware on your machine, both the CPU and GPU, where the CPU will be hammered more if you set this to ultra. After that, you can click on create and apply, and then you can start playing with the AI ingested traffic for both the ground as well as for the air traffic. So here ends this video, but before closing it off, I want to do the conclusion and final verdict. If you're a budget flyer, then likely the static between brackets FSLTL or the AIG tools are the best, I would say, options to choose from. Reason is, I would say, you are still having those really nice models which both the companies are creating, but you don't have the real-time traffic. If you're a Realism addict, you want to have real-time traffic, then the only path forward is using PSXT in combination with real traffic. If you're an immersion seeker, so if you love to try new functionality, then maybe have a look at BeyondATC, because it's a balance of cost and performance, right? It adds new functionality, it adds new aircrafts, and the same thing is applicable to also, let's say, SayIntentions. That's all the tool which we did look at. I don't have an idea about that. It's also pretty hard to find information about that, but maybe I should do that for a next video. So, that brings up the question, which system are you switching to on the 30th of April? Let me know in the comments below this video, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more Flight Simulator 2024 guides. Hope to see you back next time.